The word for the gospel in the original Greek was almost never used in the Greek literature back in the days when the gospel was spread from Jerusalem to the rest of the world about 2,000 years ago. The literal meaning of the word gospel is too good to be true news, and this in itself explains why the word was so rarely used among secular circles back then, because very few things in life that sound to be too good to be true actually turn out to be true. But it's different with the gospel, and when Paul said, "I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God unto salvation for everyone that believes," he actually said, "I'm not ashamed of these too good to be true news," because it's these incredible news that has the power to change people's lives and save them. To understand what Paul meant by the so-called too good to be true news, we need to know a little bit about the Jewish context. The life of the Jewish people back then revolved around trying to live after all the commandments and rules in the law of Moses. Suddenly this guy, Paul, comes around and claims that no one can become righteous through his or her own performance, that it's not about how good we are at keeping the law, but that salvation and righteousness is a gift to everyone, including the Gentiles that believe in Jesus. God's love is not something we can deserve through our own goodness or performance. It's unconditional and can only be received by grace through faith in Jesus. For the Jews who had lived all of their lives trying to follow all of these rules and regulations, trying to earn righteousness and eternal life through their own performance, the gospel simply sounded too good to be true. And do you know something? The gospel has not changed. It is still the too good to be true news, since this is the literal meaning of the word. This means that if the message that's being preached in the church today does not sound to be too good to be true, it's actually not the true gospel. Throughout church history, religion and legalism has been mixed together with the gospel. The gospel of grace has been so-called balanced with the law. And whenever that takes place, the gospel is robbed of its power. Because the power of the gospel lies in the undeserved, that we freely get to receive what Jesus has done for us, as opposed to receiving what we ourselves have done and deserved. We are blessed not as a result of what we have performed, but as a result of what Jesus did for us through his death and resurrection. It may sound to be too good to be true, but it's true anyway.